Hello and welcome back. Yes, this is it. I am adding some new stuff to the channel. So instead of this, like I said in the update, the 2021 video, this channel is no longer just going to be all the gaming content of just creating my games and my projects because I found that I was having troubles actually producing perfect content for you guys or content that I felt like was up to the standard that I wanted it to be at. And so I'm changing those to milestone updates. And in between the milestone updates, I'm going to play some actual games. Some games that I think are worth noting or games that inspired me to do what I'm doing right now. And just have some fun in between the milestones and in between me working and doing stuff behind the scenes. There's also some fun stuff for all of us to enjoy on the channel. So this is a Plague Tale of Innocence, or Plague Tale Innocence, and it's by, I think it's published by Focus Home Interactive, and then Absorb Studios helped actually to develop and create the game. I'm sure Focus Home helped in their own ways too, because there's that Focus Home Interactive kind of flair that I see in their games. They create some really, I love what games they create and help produce, because it's not just the run-of-the-mill same old type of games or have the same feels, the same this, the same that. They have a much darker vibe to them and their own like twists and turns in it. There's another game that I would love to play that is about being a vampire, and it's actually called Vampire, and it's Vampyr, and that's a really fun game that they have, and it has the same kind of tone to it. It's a lot darker of a storyline, and it has that slight horror yet action adventure feel to it, so it's not as just straight in your face with jump scares and fear and everything. It has that action adventure lighter vibe to it, so it feels more realistic, really. And so this game I also really enjoyed because it's got a female protagonist leading the entire story, and she's a young, probably she's probably 13, 15 in the game, because we're going to be set in 13th century France, and I believe she's around, yeah, I want to say she's probably like 15, 16, maybe that time of age, just heading into her teenage years. And we're heading into the teenage years of a young duchess in the 13th century plague times of France. And it's just, the vibes that I've seen in trailers are really cool. The simulations that they have, especially with the rats on the screen all moving around independently, it seems, which I'm sure they are, because they're probably using that Swarm AI system, which is I think it's the Swarm AI system. It's an AI system that was actually created for the Lord of the Rings movies. They wanted to create a AI system that would simulate the armies that they would have in the film. So each, like, Uruk-hai or Gondor rider was a separate model or filmed piece set that they had created, and the computer system ended up choosing all these different parameters and creating and simulating these large armies that would happen on screen. And they improved upon it in Battle of the Five Armies, the Hobbit movie. That is like the best quality version of it out right now. And even in video games, this is the same kind of method, same code, I'm sure, and it's just used to create and simulate these rats just crawling on top of each other's. Now, I can also see in here that the rats are kind of simulated to crawl over each other, but some of them are also kind of passing through each other in the models, and that's probably just to help simulate a larger swarm and a larger quantity of them. So you can see how some of them do jump over each other, but sometimes you see some and it looks like they just kind of fly into each other. That could just be an easier way of skipping by. Maybe all of them can actually move into each other, but they jump, and their jumps just so happen to time up perfectly with them jumping over each other. So it's just amazing. Yeah, you can see when one like stops and it's standing up, how some are actually like flying through it and stuff. So they did cut some corners, which makes sense. Only me with my eye will notice things like that. Some players may if they're really paying attention, but if you're just looking at that, you're not going to pay attention to it. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss about this game, is there's some fun elements that they did in it that I really wanted to talk about, things that I might even try and fiddle with myself too when I create my own games. And yeah, so let's just get on into that. Yeah, oh, that's fine. Woohoo. Oh, that body. That's what was hidden over there. Ew. Gross. These videos will be a lot longer, especially on this one. I think we're gonna do this game by its acts because I think it'll just be easier. So the Dayrun Legacy or Dayrun Legacy. I don't know. My sister's better at French than I am. She would know. But yeah. So these videos are gonna be a little bit longer just because of makes better sense to film them and stuff.
How will you be able to follow the lords at hunt?
Is that your only ambition for me? To follow? I will beat them, and I will watch them eat my dust as I forge ahead. But for that, I shall need a good horse.
You've been going on about this walk for ages. Why here?
The tree.
Which tree?
The apple tree, Father. I want to take the Knight's Challenge once more.
The Knight's Challenge? But you're not 10 years old anymore, you know.
Oh, please, Father. I've trained hard for this.
All right, let's go.
Ooh. Straight into the game. That was a nice transition. I'm curious. So, I'll have to pay attention. I'm just curious if this game is going to have any, like, cut scenes or actually cut the camera, or if the camera is going to be a one-shot. There was a game out there. Oh, so God of War on the PlayStation 4, when that came out, the newest version, that was all done on one camera.
I'm waiting.
I have things to discuss. Shush. And by that, they took one shot, in a way. So they never added a cinematic camera, a this camera, a that camera. They never used any different cameras. It was just one camera the entire time. The camera that the player controlled would then fly through and start to film the actual game scenes. So then that meant you never actually had the game change into a cinematic camera or change into a higher quality state. It kept the same quality of the game throughout. And I'm curious because as we opened up, it seemed like they might have just done that too, which would be super easy or easier. It would provide some challenges, but it would be easier on creating the game in the scene quality, because if you have quality like this game, which is pretty, look at all that. The lighting in this game is so good. I wonder, they probably ray traced or baked in the lighting. Ray tracing is pretty much just taking, say the sun is there. So they're taking the sun and shooting like 1 million lasers throughout the game environment. And whenever the lasers hit the object, say like the runes over here, just above her head, when the lasers hit the runes, it would know, okay, there's an object there. And then when it hit through the arcs, it would know, okay, there is a open space there, so light can go through there. Light hit something there, and it'll bake in all this light data. So I would assume that's actually how they did it. They ray traced and baked in that lighting, because you have all these leaves too, and they're trying to actually simulate lighting through the leaves. Yeah, look at that. Multiple different leaves. So yeah, they just ray traced and baked all the lighting in the game, which works because it looks so pretty. Enough game talk. Let's play. Can I pet dog? Oh, I can pet dog. Oh, the goodest of boys. Good boy. Oh, that's cute. I always love it when you can pet the dogs in the games.
Look
So
at
pretty.
Leon. The Guian
Leon.
beast is in a hurry to fight it out.
Your beast thinks with its stomach, as usual.
Well, there's something you both have in common.
That's harsh.
Go on,
This-
boy. You'll find the prey. I believe in you.
Don't get your hopes up. Let's keep going.
This game is gorgeous. The amount of trees. The game used Speed Tree, which is just a program just to
Look.
create trees.
Your mother's ribbon is
Oh,
still
wow.
here. This is where I courted her, you know.
Yes, Father. I know. If
That's a
only she
nice
could
little
come with us.
detail.
We all have obligations in this here. in a family. Hey, I'm trying to tell her something.
Such authority, Knight de Rune.
Go! And bring something
That's
back
great.
for once. Right. As I was saying, we all have obligations. I have to manage these lands. Your mother has to take care of your brother. And you...
And I hardly ever see you. I see Mother even less.
Listen. We're here for you now. So, follow me, daughter.
Hey, wait!
I hope you have your sling.
Of course.
The character model is really
Come
good.
on,
Oh.
do you dare to enter
Wow.
the Trials Gate?
Amicia de Rune fears nothing.
This apple tree was planted when you were born. It will prove your worth.
Sir Knight, what are the terms of the test?
The sacred apples of the sacred apple tree have been corrupted by a great evil. If you destroy 6 of these rotten apples by the time I count to 10, I will make you a knight.
I accept your challenge.
I can see some stones near the trunk over there. Go and get them and tell me when you're ready.
Hold on, I've got... There we go. Sound issue with my headphone there.
Ready? I'll show you I'm not a child anymore.
All right, come back. Stand behind this trunk. You'll shoot from
There.
here.
It shall
Right
be
here.
done.
So here we go.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Oh!
5.
Stop it!
Come on, Amicia. 6,
I used to hate timed things in games.
8,
And
I
this is
think
how
he's-
Amicia becomes a true knight.
9, and...
There.
Well. I must say I'm impressed.
Yeah.
But your sling is frightfully noisy.
It was a present from you.
Oh, yes. I'd quite forgotten. Goodness, what's up with him?
He must have smelled the rabbit. Come on, quickly.
You go ahead. I'll catch up with you. You're much faster than I am.
Wow. I'm loving the game. I'm getting so distracted by how the quality looks. Oh, look at that. Oh, cool. Okay. This is interesting. So we're going to go down there, and that's going to be more of the game environment. But you can see off in the distance, like, you can see where one of the trees becomes like a flat texture, or the... So in the distance, it is a painted texture. It's a painted scene. So they kind of blended actual 3D models with some 2D matte painting. Matte painting is a similar thing back in movies when we weren't able to film like on scenes or on actual sets and stuff like that. They would take a piece of glass and a matte artist would then paint these actual scenes that the camera would look through. And there'd be an empty piece of the glass that would actually be some of the stage setting. And in the stage setting, then you'd see the glass would look through and see the actual area, and then the painter would have painted the rest of the scene or the rest of the environment. So same thing happens in video games. We can only render out so much of the actual game, and this is something that I'm kind of having to struggle with in my own game when I'm wanting to show a horizon line like this, is having to actually go in and create a matte painting of the environment and enough 3D objects within the player's foreground to simulate the depth and space in the game. And you can see how they kind of cheated with that matte painting design there. And then as we go down, we're going to go actually into the environment, and so the matte painting won't need to be there anymore. So that's interesting. I like that. Right triggers the sprint button. That's a good layout.
Leo! A hunting
It's
dog.
just so pretty.
It's not supposed to lose its hunter. Leo! Where did he go?
Doggo.
What did you smell? Oh gosh, a wild boar. What a good dog.
Amicia, did he find something?
Shh. Come and see. A wild boar.
Some game. This will do nicely for a little feast.
I could use my thing.
That might work, but you'll need to get closer. This grass will keep you hidden if you stay low.
Oh, okay. Generic stealth mechanic.
It's drinking. Time to make my move. Oh no, it saw me.
Find a way to sneak up. You have to hit the head.
Okay, hit it on the head.
Careful. You have to aim for the head.
I'm doing my best. I want that beast.
I know. You can do it, my darling.
There you are.
Use the high grass. Stay low. Nice shot. Does
Yes.
hunger always make you this accurate?
Huh.
But the feast isn't on your plate quite yet.
No. Go, Leon. Don't lose the scent.
Yeah, rock to the head. What, a pebble to that boar's head? Baby boar, but
I
still.
promise you, tonight we shall dine like kings.
I have no doubt we will.
Don't give up, Leon. I'm coming, Leon. Keep him there and you'll get a piece for yourself. Oh no, I'll sink in there.
Oh. Okay. You know, that makes sense. Mud. Ooh, mud in your boots.
The boar.
Oh, the boar.
It's bleeding.
Cool, so this way.
He stopped barking. He must have found it.
Yes.
Ugh.
Ugh.
These britches were almost new. Someone's not going to be happy.
Oh, yeah, because you don't have to wash them. Rich person.
The trees. What did that? Leo, come here.
Jeez. What
It's-
did do that?
It's the boar. But how? Leo
Oh.
couldn't have done that. Leo, come here. Leo.
Gosh. And what? Maybe a wolf, and then the dog interfered, but ugh, what would leave such a... Ugh, gross. Ew, goaty.
I'm here. I'm coming.
Oh, don't kill the dog right off the back. Oh.
My
Oh,
dog.
poor puppy.
Who did this?
Oh! Oh!
Leon! Leon!
What devilry is this? We must go. Immediately.
Are those the rats? Ooh. That has to be the rats.
I shall organize a hunt. Go and find your mother. Tell her I must speak with her. She's probably...
Looking after Hugo. Yes, of course.
Dog's dead.
Amicia. He was a good dog.
They painted on her eyelashes.
Rivets for reinforcing the door. I haven't been able to make them yet. Did you hear about the English troops arriving?
Yeah, in that scene, you could see that they just kind of painted on the eyelash. But with that, I could tell that they have multiple different cameras. They don't render the game differently at any point. The game is rendered in the same way, so... And that makes sense, because with the quality that we have, this game looks beautiful. So they don't change the render quality to the cinematic camera, to the regular camera. maybe some slight adjustments here and there to lighting, just because when you switch to that cinematic camera, of course, you have more time to bake in lighting, to render the lighting, and they probably have a render farm of just towers and stuff to render everything. So I doubt they. I'm pretty sure they just did stuff like that. But yeah, you can see they just painted on her eyelashes instead of actually simulating hair there, which makes sense. How often is the player really going to notice that? No, because it's a quick moment. But I would have, if I was rendering out the scene, I would have actually created the eyelashes there and then baked them on and had them painted on later on. Because at this level, you know, I'm not going to tell that she has eyelashes. But when they were that close, I would have actually simulated eyelashes on her. It would have made a would have increased that little bit of reality to the game, because this is a very straight. This is a gorgeous game that went straight for realism, and they did it well. It's realism, but it's twisted in a little way for a much darker mid-tone vibes, and I just like it. It's so great. I think I'm actually going to end the first video here. This is a good stopping point right after the title card. I thought these would actually be a lot longer and we would go through the acts and things like that, but I think we might split each act into 2 videos. So we'll pause it here. So far, first impressions of this game, I'm really liking it. Kind of a calm open into the storyline. I'm hoping for more action later on, but of course, this game is trying to be more cinematic and more movie style with it, so they're trying to like build up to it and get the action rolling later on, and that's kind of been like the correct way of doing it. You want to slow build up and then hit everybody with the action and kind of get a roller coaster vibe for the players, because then you're actually going to get players who are going to feel like, oh, I can't stop playing at this moment because this is such an intense scene, and then you're going to get other players where it's like, oh, well, intense scene is over, break, pause game, I have other things that I need to do for the day and stuff. So that's really good, because you want your players. There was a study about player activity and stuff, and it seemed like gamers wanted to be able to play for like an hour at most. Your average Joe who is got a busy life schedule and works that 9 to 5 wants to be able to at least hit that hour to 2 hour mark in their game time, or even 3 hours. But in order to do that, you need to make sure that within that time frame, for a player who has all the time in the world to play a game, you want to make sure that they have tons of things to do, that they progress enough. For the player who only has that hour to 30 minutes to play, you want to make sure within 30 minutes or to an hour, the player feels like they accomplished something, that they've been rewarded or was given something from the game. In this case, they opened into the game, they got to play the first scene, and maybe a few more other things. This is probably with me talking and going on about all this stuff, I'm sure the player would have been able to get through a lot more of the scene. So there's that player, and then for the player who gets the 2-3 hours, you want to give them something there too, and you want to make sure that you're giving them enough in each time. If a player who played for an hour got all this stuff, but the player who played for 2 hours got all this stuff in the first hour, and then in the second hour they got diddly squat, that's not going to be satisfying for the player, because then they're going to be like, well, where's the rest of the game? Everything was at the first half. Now in the second half, there's nothing. So you want to make sure that you balance it out throughout your game. And so far, this is really fun. I'm loving it. I hope you guys are liking this too. I'll try to limit the amount of times that I get derailed with actual game developing stuff and actually more game design, more gameplay, I should say. But I'm actually wanting to mix it in really well. So feel free, comment down below. Let me know how you thought this went. If you wanted more gameplay and less derailing of design of the game, or vice versa, whatever you wanted, I am here and waiting to hear from you all. So with that said, I will see you guys as always in the next videos. By the way, next week will be another video of the Plague Tale Innocence, and then after that we shall get into concepting for the Diesel Punk project, because I went right back to the drawing board and I'm going to discuss the redesigns and concepting that I went through for the redesigns. So now, with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.